Notre Dame landed a new commitment last week while I was on vacation, but I am back, and we're going to talk about Notre Dame's newest pledge with Blue and Gold analyst Tim Hyde. The new commitment, Loghan Thomas, out of the Houston area, Paytow High School from, in the Katy, Texas specifically, nation's number 170 overall player, number 12 edge per the On3 industry ranking. See On3's ranking list him a little bit higher as the nation's number 101 player, number 9 edge. Pretty nice get here, Tim. I mean, the offer list is strong. I mean, you look at it, Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M, Texas, LSU, USC. I mean, the ranking's good. The offer list's good. But what do you see on the tape, Mr. Tim Hyde?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, going to the rankings. Obviously, he blew up after he was the MVP of the old Army All-American Junior Combine, and boom, all the big schools came after him, including Notre Dame. So long. That's the one thing you notice on this guy. He's a hybrid, I think. We talk Viper so much, and he's that traditional old school 3-4 rush stand-up backer, which Notre Dame's had a lot of great ones. And heck, they've had 3 straight Vipers get drafted with Julian Okwara, Dalen Hayes, and Isaiah Foskey here. So he falls right into the camp. When you watch film of their high school, that's the first thing I noticed is he reminded me of a combination of Foskey and Julian Okwara, a guy who could play in a 3-point stance, but is talented enough to, in a 2-point, play off the balls we see here. He's on the line of scrimmage. He's almost like the prototypical, I hate to use that word, but that Marcus Freeman Viper 3-3-5 type of rush end, stand-up type of guy. So I think he's going to fit outstanding into Marcus Freeman's defense.
Pretty good recruiting win for the Fighting Irish as well. Like I mentioned, beating out some of those schools. I know Oklahoma was a program he really liked. He had the heavy hitters from, the state of Texas. You mentioned the All-American Bowl combine performance that he had, really blew up from there. I know he tested well. And then I was there and I was very impressed by him. But, at that point, Notre Dame had an offer, so I wasn't watching him too closely. I was just like, man, who is this skinny kid who just keeps beating all these tackles off the edge? Notre Dame offers him, I want to say just a few days after that. Thomas visited in March. I believe it was late March, and then again in May. May's not a big unofficial visit month for Notre Dame or most schools, but, he visited, and going into that trip, Notre Dame sources had been telling me, hey, like the staff really wants to lock this one up if they can, and this will really solve maybe not solve problems on the defensive line board, but definitely we'll give some answers. We'll talk about the kind of status about that in just a moment. But yeah, he committed to the staff while he was on campus. This would have been, not this past weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before. And then I got to interview him Sunday. He was gracious enough to, do that interview with me right before I left for my cruise last week. And we'll talk more about Notre Dame recruiting in our live show. We're going to do it Tuesday night, not Wednesday night. I have some personal matters going on that I can't do a show Wednesday night. But so yeah, make sure you tune in Tuesday. Really nice recruiting win here, Tim. More thoughts as we continue to watch his tape. True Viper at the next level. I know we watch a lot of these guys. You're like, yeah, I see him bulking up to be in this, but you think he's definitely a Viper at the next level?
Without a doubt. I mean, he's going to be 6'3", 6'4", 235, 240-ish when it's all said and done. That's why he's that Julian Okwara, Isaiah Foskey type of body, the build. He's a Viper. You don't see this. He's not going to be 285 someday. I don't think they're going to feed him that many mashed potatoes in South Bend. So I see him being a perfect stand-up, the rush end spot, the Viper, whatever we want to call it. But, going back to his recruiting, Mike, I love to look at the old Notre Dame history and all that. He is the highest ranked defensive end prospect out of Texas since going all the way back to the, Bob Davie years when they got Grant Irons, who was a USA Today All-American, and Travis Lyko, a couple guys that played with Mike Goolsby back in his day. So that's a long time. The great Lou Samogio used to talk about the white whale being DN recruiting, and it sure is, especially in Texas, to Notre Dame. So I couldn't believe I had to go back that far. You're talking 02 and 1997 for those two guys. So great win for Notre Dame. Very athletic. Like I said, he fits perfect, long, lean. A lot of these defensive guys Freeman and Golden have been filling up their class with. Even the two corners are tall and long as well. So he's an outstanding prospect that's going to, and on top of that, he's the highest ranked defensive player so far. So you can't, it's an important get for the program here in the class of 24.
Yeah, in terms of interior defense line recruiting, again, make sure you tune into our live show Tuesday. We'll really break that down. I mean, between Owen Wafel decommitting, Sean Seviano looks to be trending towards Notre Dame, Justin Scott, Malachi Williams. There's just Malachi being more of an edge prospect, but Justin Scott, obviously the 5-star list of Notre Dame in his top 5. I mean, definitely a lot of movement on the D-line board. But like I said earlier, I mean, you land Loghan Thomas. Now you have 3. I mean, we're calling them edge prospects. So many times you feel like, say, like, a defensive end, but I mean, there's so much interchange there, right? I mean, like, my favorite thing is when people on 3 doesn't list players as outside linebackers, but so many, like when we were back in Rivals, players listed as an outside linebacker. I mean, like, that could mean so many different things. Are you a true outside backer? Are you an inside backer? Are you a DN? Like, what the heck are you? But yeah, you've talked about Bryce Young and Cole Mullins. Like, you think these are going to be more 5 technique guys instead of like your Viper. You got Loghan Thomas, looks like a true Viper. But regardless, these are defensive ends, right?
Yes.
How pleased are you so far? And again, we'll talk about interior defensive line recruiting in our show Tuesday. But, between Thomas, you also got Bryce Young and Cole Mullins from the state of Georgia. Got to be, pretty happy with defensive end recruiting right now, Tim. I mean, some pretty quality players.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to have 2, meaning, you got a strong side and a weak side, and you got that in these 2. And then Mullins, I would even throw in Bodie Cahoon or these hybrid type guys. Sure. I mean, Cole Mullins has been a true Mike. He's been a down in the pit guy in a 3-point stance, 2-point middle backer. Same with Bodie Cahoon is more of that as we've broken it down, the Mike Will Viper. He could play one of those 3 as a solid stand-up. So you got 2 outstanding ones in Young and Thomas, 2 really good blue chip football players, which I like to then compare it to what Notre Dame has done the last couple of years under Freeman. You got, people, you start talking about this, but what about the last couple classes or 2? Gobira going into another year. Tyson Ford was a top 100. Well, they've moved him inside because he's 295 pounds. And
295, Tyson Ford?
Isn't he? I think it was low 290s during spring football. They had listed him. So, which is large. And then you got 2 top 200 Mike backers with Burnham and Tulialamaka. They've moved. So
you're right. 292. Holy crap.
No, I was going to say he's eating some mashed potatoes out there in South Bend. So you've gotten him. And then obviously this 2023 class, we won't know about until camp. Who could pop up? Can someone surprise out of, Boubacar Traore or Brennan Vernon? Obviously Devin Houston was out with a shoulder injury. So you mix those ends with what they've done in 22, and we'll know about 23. You start, I've used that term, compounding classes, and it feels like they're doing that. That's a lot of blue chips we've just talked about. A lot of high-end, really good football players that will get developed under Coach Freeman.
So 4-star defensive end, Loghan Thomas out of the Houston area committing to Notre Dame. Glad to be back from my cruise. Looking forward to more YouTube content this week. Show Tuesday night. We'll have plenty on Friday as well. We'll have our recruiting live show on Friday and potentially covering a new commitments as well. So keep an eye on that. That's going to do it for this video, folks. Please do hit that thumbs up. And as always, we will catch you next time.